So you are looking to run some Google search campaigns for your service-based business. Well, this is the video for you. I've been working in marketing for the past 4 years, and I work for 3 separate marketing agencies, primarily running Facebook and Google ads. And this is the sort of general practice that I have experience within each agency for a service-based business specifically. So 2 are very standardized, and the third one, which is at the end, is less standardized, but I feel it should, and it could give you a competitive advantage in your industry. So the campaigns are split into 3. So the first one we have is our title campaign. The second one is a specific services campaign. And the third one is less of a standard, but is a competitor campaign. So I'm going to break these down individually, and I'm also going to give you a live example of Google Ads keyword research that I would do for a business. So you can do it too. So first of all, let's break down what the title campaign is. Okay, because it's a little bit confusing. You may be wondering, what does that mean? So this is just a term I've coined for it, but basically it is the title of your business. Now, I'm not talking about your brand name, but I'm talking about the business you operate in. So this is, for example, I'm going to do a live keyword research for a dentist practice. So that would be the title campaign. It would be finding keywords related to dentists. So for this one, we have dentist, but you could also call it dental clinic. So there's different keywords we need to target within this campaign, and we need to find with our keyword research to put into our ad groups. The reason we do this is because I would always say dentist as my search if I were to input it into Google, but not everyone would. So the fact we do the Google Ads keyword research is to find other terms people use for the word dentist. Okay, so some people may say dental clinic, and as I go into the example, there is actually quite a lot of ways you can say it. And also with this one, it actually relies heavily on location. So I'm going to do a specific location in the UK. I'm not doing one for the whole of the UK. And this comes into it quite heavily because when you are using Google Ads or when you are searching within the Google search engine, people do typically like to put the location they want to target in there as a standardized sort of search. So we need to cater to this and find those sort of search terms within our keyword research. So one caveat to note with the title campaign is that it can be quite competitive because you're bidding for this sort of keyword like dentist, which a lot of your competitors are going to do too. So we need to make sure we have absolutely amazing ad copy that is highly persuasive and supplies the user with all the persuasive elements they need to convert from a user on the search engine to clicking your ad over your competitors. I actually have a video where I go over Google Ads ad copy and this framework I've created. So if you want to see that, I will link it in the description. It's really useful, so I recommend you watching it. So that's the first campaign covered. The second campaign is a specific services campaign. This one is a little bit easier to do because you know the services you want to advertise. So if I go onto someone's website, a new client, I can depict from basically their search bar the sort of services they offer and that I need to do my keyword research with. So basically the idea with this is we're going to list out every service we have as an individual ad group and then find the keywords based on this, because there might be different search terms that people use to find your overall specific service, and we need to find those. So the example I have here, I'm going to do a dentist example for this one. The example I have is root canal treatment and teeth grinding. These will be 2 separate ad groups that we'll use to do our keyword research with. So the final campaign we're going to be covering as well is a competitor campaign. So what do I mean by a competitor campaign? Well, fundamentally, we are going to be bidding and using keywords that are our competitors' brand names. So this is a really good chance to find a user who has massively high intent because they are searching directly for the competitor, but we can potentially win them over by showing an advert above our competitor's organic SEO ranking. So we can show higher in the ranking, and fundamentally we need to have a really good offer in our ad copy to win them over and potentially get them from going to a competitor to going to you. And this is the whole premises of a competitor campaign. So let's start with the title campaign. And as I said, we're going to be doing a dentist example for this one. I've never worked with a dentist client before, so I'm in the same boots you would be in as if it were a brand new campaign. Okay, the first thing I'm going to go over is I have created a sort of campaign plan template. So what we have here, we have our campaign title, and then we're also going to list out our ad groups that we find from doing our keyword research. I also have a video on keyword research and how I like to do it. So this would be quite beneficial to go through, specifically if you want to go over keyword research strategy. Next, we have our keywords. And then finally, we have our negative keywords that may pop up from our keyword research, which they will. So it's great to have one here to find, oh wow, I don't want to appear for that specific keyword. So throw these in here as you go along. It will help you in the long run, I promise. Right, so for this example, I have got two different screens up. Typically, the way I like to work and I feel the best and most productive is to have two separate monitors. So I would have this screen on one monitor to my left, and I'll have this screen on the monitor to my right. Just the way I like to do it. If you don't, then that's fine. It's just whatever you feel best to do. So what I'm going to do with this demo account is go to Tools and Settings, and then under Planner, I'm going to find the Keyword Planner. So this is the only keyword research tool we're going to use to find our keywords today. And like I said in my previous videos, this is the only sort of keyword planning you need to use. You don't need to pay for another service, in my opinion. So let's start off. So Bristol's title campaign, I'm going to put one in here just to be a bit more clear. Dentist. So yeah, this is a title campaign for a dentist, and I'm literally going to start this off by doing a dentist as one keyword. Dentist, Bristol. And what I'm also going to do is refine the search to the Bristol area. And get results. So I'm literally putting in two keywords to try and identify some other search terms people may use to find a dentist in the Bristol area. Okay, I always like to filter by monthly searches, so have the higher searches at the top going downwards to show demand at the top, less demand towards the bottom. Okay, and as I said in my other video, my keyword research strategy video, what we're trying to do here is find different sort of ad groups that we're going to use to then populate keywords. So I like to have as many ad groups as possible with very, very similar keywords. The reason I like to do this is because when you have very specific keywords in your ad group, you can have very specific ad copy. And what this does, what this gives the user who's searching on Google is message match. Their exact search represents what we have in our ad copy. So they're more likely to click over us because we're more specific. So I'm going to go through this now. I'm going to speed it up and I'm going to come back to you when I've sort of found the ad groups and keywords that I'm going to go with. Right, so I'm going to leave it there for our sort of ad groups. If I was doing this for an actual account, I would go through and make sure I covered every single ad group, but just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to leave it there. What I would do now though, however, is what I'm seeing within this, within these keywords is I've identified multiple different ad groups for dentist and the searches people like to do for that sort of title. Okay, so we've identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ad groups. Okay, and one thing I've noticed from doing this keyword research is people like to put the location of Bristol at the end of their searches. So what I'm going to do within each of these ad groups is make sure I have at least one keyword which has the location Bristol at the end of it, because this is a popular way of searching that I've identified through this keyword research. So I'm happy with these ad groups and these keywords. As you can see as well, I've identified 3 different negative keywords that I would use within this campaign. As a whole, you can add negative keywords specifically for your ad group, but these are just the ones I would use in the campaign, at the campaign level. So the example is NHS. So for this example, I'm going to say we're a private dentist, and if we were a private dentist, we definitely wouldn't want to show up for NHS dentist searches because it's not relevant to us. We're not under the NHS. Another one is emergency. So for example, if we didn't offer emergency dental services, we would definitely want to have that as a negative keyword. And thirdly, orthodontist. We'd want to have this as a negative keyword for sure if we didn't offer this service. Cool. So now we have these ad groups and these keywords lined up from our initial search. The next step would be to go through with these individual searches and put those in directly for each ad group, so we can identify if we're missing any particular keywords. So I will do this one for dental clinic, for example, just to basically outline if we have missed out any potential keywords. So, dental hospitals. So high street dental clinic could be a keyword. Specialist dental clinic. Okay, we have that there under this ad grouping keyword. So you can see Dentist Queen Square, I think that's a brand keyword, and Longwell Green, these are both brand keywords. So this is showing a reason why we want to do a competitor campaign, because there's high volume searches for these competitor brand names. So overall, no, we don't seem to have missed any keywords for this particular ad group. But as I say, you should go through each of these ad groups and do the exact same thing for each of these searches to find out if you've missed any sort of keywords that we've only got from our initial dentist search. Right, so we've identified the sort of keywords in the ad groups we are going to be using for our title campaign here. So let's just block this off under a fill color like this. So we have one campaign here, and the next campaign we're going to be doing is for the specific services campaign. For example, I'm just going to call this the services campaign. Okay, we're still under dentistry. Probably don't need to have that there. So yeah. Okay, so the next campaign is a little bit easier. For this example, I'm just going to find a dentist in Bristol. And from this, I'm just sort of going to identify any specific services we can use. Okay, so looking under here, we can see that there is a lot of different treatments that you would want to have under this services campaign. So this one offers quite a lot of different ones. So what I would do immediately is segment each campaign to the specific sort of topic of services. So for this one, I would have a services campaign for advanced dentistry, one for general dentistry, one for specialist dental services, and so on and so forth. So for this example, we are just going to do special dental services. And I'll give you 4 ad groups and the keyword research I would do for that. So this one's a little bit easier because we have our ad group sort of identified already. So if I go into treatments, and this is the one I'm going to focus on, so sedation. One thing I'm a bit confused of is the sort of title of sedation. So I want to do a bit of research into this, see what sedation is, and if there's any other search terms that may be more relevant to sedation. Okay, so I'm a little bit confused about sedation, and is it actually a service they offer, or if it's just part of their procedure? and it's not an actual service. So yeah, for this example, I'm not going to use sedation, and we're going to carry on with this. Cool, so like that we have our 3 ad groups we are going to use for this example. So root canal treatment, and it is just as simple as this as we did previously. So root canal treatment and root canal treatment Bristol are my search keywords for this. Filter by average monthly searches, and immediately going to put in root canal treatment, root canal treatment Bristol. Root canal specialists. Root canal treatment costs. I would put this keyword in if you have if you specifically cover the costs of the treatment, because that is something they really want to find. If you don't have that within your within your landing page, then this would be either something you want to add into your landing page or avoid as a keyword, because most likely you're going to have a high bounce rate and not actually get that customer to convert. Okay, so we've sort of found our keywords that we want to use for root canal treatment. But one thing I'm noticing is there are different sort of searches we have in here. So the main ones here is root canal treatments, root canal specialists, root canal surgery, and root canal filling. So one thing that may be useful with this specific ad group is to probably separate these out a little bit more. So one ad group that is specifically to root canal treatment, one to root canal specialists, and one to root canal surgery, and potentially even filling, because we want to be as specific as our ad copy as possible, and the way to do this is have separate ad groups. Okay, so from this initial one, from this in our ad group, we found we want to actually have 5 different ad groups all together for this just one specific category which we identified on our website. So this is exactly why we do our keyword research. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these and make sure I have Bristol as a location at the end of these as a keyword. Cool, so we've identified we want to have a few more ad groups with root canal treatment specifically. Now let's move on to the other ones. Okay, so from now identifying this ad group, which is periodontal treatments, and also reviewing the actual landing page, it's more about gum disease. So the title of periodontal treatments wouldn't probably be the best title to use for your service here, because a more common search would be gum disease treatment or gum specialists. So that's exactly why, another reason exactly why we do our keyword research, because we can identify the other sort of search terms that people would naturally use for this overarching one you have on your website. You always want to speak like your customers and not how you would speak it. So as a specialist, it's up to you to baby down your language and act as if we are talking to a 5-year-old, is what they say. Okay, you want to talk in the language that they are going to understand. So not everyone's going to understand periodontal treatments, just like I did in this example. So that's exactly why we want to dumb down our language, but we also want to conduct our keyword research so we can have keywords and ad groups that are more relevant to the user's actual search. Okay, so there we are. Again, so from starting from one ad group, we've now identified 3 different ad groups that we want to use for this specific service. So the final one to do for this example is oral surgery. So I'm going to go through the oral surgery landing page now and just feel like if there's any other sort of keywords that would be more relevant to the broad use that they've used here of oral surgery. Okay, so I feel like just from reading this there are multiple reasons why you'd use your oral surgery. Remove wisdom teeth, disease or impact teeth, and to treat injuries of the mouth. So overall, this is probably more of a search that's specific for oral surgery because these would be individual services they have. So from this, I'm literally just going to use this as our keyword to start with, oral surgery and oral surgery Bristol. Okay, so again, from this sort of search of oral surgery, we have now identified 5 other ad groups that we want to use within our campaign. So this is the reason why your keyword research is so important. So now I've done that, what I'm going to go through here and do is just make sure all my keywords are good. As I said previously, I would go through individually with each of these ad groups, input them into the keyword planner, and just sort of fine tune and see if I've missed any potential keywords. So now let's just lock these off with their own color. For example, we'll give a green one. But this is, from this example, we started off with 3 ad groups, so 3 treatments, and now we have identified multiple different other ad groups that we want to use in our campaign. So if I'm honest, I feel like the layout of this website could be a little bit better. I would like to have the specific services they have titled a little bit better. These are very broad and they could be more specific, which would benefit the user from just a general user experience on the website and a more organic use. So now finally onto our last campaign, which is our competitor campaign. So similar to the specific services campaign, we have a better starting block because, like in a services campaign, we understand the services we offer that we want to advertise, and we're also going to know for our competitor campaign our main key competitors and their brand names. So we have a much better starting block to use to identify our ad groups, but then of course we're going to go through and do some keyword research in order to find out if there are any more common searches that people may have for them. One thing to note with a competitor campaign is if your business is very small, then they might not be eligible to search using a competitor campaign because your brand name for your competitors may not be eligible as a keyword based on a search volume. So this one is more specifically for medium-sized and larger companies, just as a disclaimer before we get started. So we're using it from the emphasis of this person. So this is the company we're using, and we're going to try to find the competitors for him. So your dentist, Bristol. So immediately from this, I'm going to put this into here and just put Bristol, Horfield. Longard Dental, and we use our final one as Longwell Green Dental. So immediately I can see their domain is Longwell Dental, but they are advertising as Longwell Green Dental and Implant Clinic. So if you're specifically relating to the dental practice, I would put Longwell Green Dental Clinic as a keyword. So similarly, now we've identified our sort of ad groups and our sort of basis keywords that we want to use. We're just going to go through each and every one of these and make sure we don't miss off any particular keywords by searching the individual ad groups. So we can see for Horfield Dental Care, we initially started off with that keyword, but there is a multitude of other searches that people are doing. So yeah, it's good we've got those covered now. Okay, we can also identify there is a lot of keywords for Queen Square, so it's good we've got those covered as well. Let's move on to our final one, which is Longwell Dental, Longwell Green Dental Practice. So I'm going to put in these two keywords for this one. Longwell Dental, which is their domain instead. And let's see what they've got. So there you are. Now we've gone through each of these and we found actually quite a few different keywords relating to the search terms of these specific companies, which is fantastic and another reason why you should take your keyword research quite seriously. So in summary of this video, we've gone through and we've identified our main campaign, which is our title campaign, the title of our business. We've then also specifically covered the individual services we are going to advertise using Google Ads. And finally, we've gone through a sort of unconventional but quite effective campaign type, which is a competitor campaign. So from this, we've gone through and we've identified our 3 different campaigns that we're going to run for our example of a dentistry. Okay, I don't have a huge amount of negative keywords, and yeah, I would make sure you want to keep this as full as possible. Your understanding of your business should be able to know the sort of negative keywords you want to include anyway. But I will be making a video on specific negative keyword strategy and how to produce negative keywords. So subscribe to make sure you can see that one. Okay, I hope this was a good practical example. It was quite an interesting one for me. I've never used a dentist. I've never had a dentist client before. So it was interesting to see the different searches that people have for the initial treatments they displayed on their websites. So I hope this one was useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.